I'm sure you've noticed that in the past 2 years, Megan Moroney has established herself as a genuine country music superstar.
I met somebody, and he's got blue eyes.
I mean, she went from intriguing upstart new artist to sharing the stage with the likes of Zach Bryan and Lana Del Rey. She's got Olivia Rodrigo showing up at her concerts. She's currently direct support for Kenny Chesney on his huge stadium tour, which is a position that usually takes people maybe 10 years to get to that level. And I think one of the reasons all these huge names are drawn to Megan Moroney is because real recognizes real. And Megan Moroney has a real brand and real music, and everyone can feel it. Oh, and I'm just gonna say this right here in minute 1 of the video. Here's my Barbie disclaimer. To the people that just can't stand her and will say, oh yeah, I'm sure this is a really interesting story, Grady. Hot blonde girl suddenly becomes country star. I think if that's all it took to become a big star, well, you'd see a lot more hot blonde girls that are taken off on the charts, but doesn't happen that often. I think her aesthetics matter a lot, and we'll talk about it, but there's more to it than that. Megan just released her sophomore LP called Am I Okay? And it had the biggest country debut of the week. It started with 44,000 units. That's way up from her debut Lucky, which started at 17,000, and it way outpaced people like Hardy and Sturgill Simpson. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know I first found Megan Moroney when I went in blind listening to Hair Salon. I mean, that was back when I still lived in Virginia. This is the one! I think this is gonna get a lot of attention. But I was blown away by that, and it's been pretty remarkable over the last 2 years to watch her stomp her sequined boots and tutu frilly dresses through Nashville and the music industry at large and become the behemoth that she is becoming. Megan doesn't have some crazy musical backstory like she was a child prodigy playing at the White House or something. She was born in 1997 in Savannah, Georgia, and did grow up in a musical household. Her family listened to stuff like Jackson Browne, the Eagles, James Taylor. She learned to play the piano at 12. In high school, she wasn't just the cheerleader, she was also playing the guitar. And if you scroll all the way back on her Instagram, you'll find tons of videos from like 10 years ago of her playing with her brother and her dad in the music room in their house. But it really wasn't until her time in college at the University of Georgia that Megan's music ambitions took off. Basically, Megan was in a sorority, a KD. Is that still what they do? They throw Ks. I remember that from college. And country artist John Langston was playing a philanthropy event at her sorority. And Megan was able to open the show, and she was playing covers. Now, Chase Rice was attending this event, which LOL. Presumably because he really cared about the philanthropy. And Chase was really impressed with Megan and offered her the opportunity to open for him, but he said, hey, you need to have some original songs. You can't open for me with covers. So Megan started writing a lot more of her own original music because that's a great opportunity. Meanwhile, in her major, she was taking a music business and administration class, and her professor set up for her an internship with Christian Bush, who you may remember as one half of the duo Sugarland. So Megan started interning for Christian, and then in 2020, when she'd finished her degree, she moved to Nashville, and she kept in close contact with Christian Bush, and he introduced her to a bunch of songwriters around town because he believed in her talent. And this relationship would prove really important in Megan's career because Christian Bush has kind of become her main patron that's producing her music and helping her get it out into the world. While Megan was getting her feet wet in Nashville, she was really establishing herself even more on social media because she's always been good at social media and kind of playing the hot girl game on social media. But in 2021, after some TikTok momentum, she released her first song, Wonder, which became a little bit of a minor streaming hit for an independent artist.
He won't make you wonder.
Megan started to drop a few more songs as we went into 2022. Hair Salon was kind of a moment that got people's attention of, damn, that is a well-written song.
Now I'm heartbroken in a hair salon.
And it had this really cool aesthetic album cover. And for a lot of people, it was their introduction to this kind of raspy voiced new it girl. And songs like that were leading up to the release of Megan's 2022 EP Pistol Made of Roses, which had some great songs on it, like Fix You Too. Her it girl status only climbed with the conversation around what became Megan's biggest single, Tennessee Orange.
I'm wearing Tennessee orange for you.
Basically, a lot of internet gossip started around the fact that Megan was seen wearing a shirt that seemingly belonged to Morgan Wallen. And meanwhile, Megan was promoting a song that was about her being from Georgia but falling in love with a Tennessee guy. And so this created a ton of gossip and drama, with Morgan being the superstar that he is.
Everybody has a theory about this song. Where the song came from, who it's addressed to, and is it Morgan Wallen's shirt?
And then Connor Smith was even part of the intrigue and mystery in all of this, because he had a song called Orange and White that was almost the reverse of Tennessee Orange. And Megan was able to ride this wave of gossip a little bit, and she felt like a country music Cleopatra, where it was like Mark Antony and Julius Caesar were maybe both after her, although she's never commented on it. Some people say, oh no, that was just good publicity. But regardless, it wouldn't have mattered if Tennessee Orange weren't absolutely beautiful, and it was. Like a lot of Megan's music, it's a song that is so in love, but also feels kind of sad at the same time. And the chorus, when you just sort of fall into it with, I met somebody, is so irresistible. When Tennessee Orange became a big viral hit, Megan quickly signed a record deal with Columbia. And not long after, the song became a big radio hit as well, which led to the 2023 release of Megan Moroney's debut album, Lucky, which I thought was an excellent album. It was actually my number 4 album of everything last year. Lucky got a lot of attention for being surprisingly acoustic and chill in its production, and surprisingly country. Tracks like Trader Joe,
She's a traitor, Joe. You shouldn't be.
and Girl in the Mirror were so clever, and they drew comparisons to kind of the music of early Casey Musgraves and early Taylor Swift. And then stuff like the title track is super almost 90s country Brooks and Dunn vibes. And the album also included Megan Moroney's second hit, the song I'm Not Pretty,
Girl, let me guess you don't like how I dress and you're hating.
which is a humorous track of Megan imagining her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend stalking Megan's Instagram and being like, ugh, I hate her, and passing the phone around. And Megan's like, you know, whatever helps, just keep telling yourself I'm not pretty. It's self-deprecating and bratty in a way that's so cool. And side note, while researching for this video, I found that the 2016 in PCB picture does in fact exist. Megan's music is so effective to me because there's this interesting vein of sadness and confidence running through all of it. In some ways, the way she writes reminds me a little bit of how I've talked about Luke Combs in the past, where I've said, nothing's ever going so well for Luke Combs. And even in his happy moments, he frames it as, how's a guy like me end up with a 5-leaf clover? And you kind of get that because Luke's like a big guy, not the most handsome dude in the world. But it's interesting hearing Megan being almost like a human Barbie doll, having a similar kind of insecurity. Although hers is tempered with this idea of, I know I'm great, and why do all these people hurt me? Or am I gonna hurt them? Or what are my friends gonna say? Her music takes place in this very internal place in her mind. I think some people write very situationally of, we're gonna go party out in that field. Megan writes about these quiet little drum roll moments of anticipation of, is he gonna call? Or do I need to warn my friend that this is a bad guy? Or why do I not feel happy? Or why do I feel so head over heels in love? I feel like if we had a version of Inside Out, the Pixar movie that was taking place in Megan's brain, the main things at the board would be sadness, disgust, and maybe anxiety. And sure, all the other things too in their moments. But those are the emotions that I feel like really drive her music. Because like I said, there is this sad feeling in a lot of Megan's music. Take Tennessee Orange, for instance. Yes, it's a love song, and she's like, I met somebody, and he's got blue eyes. He opens the door, and he don't make me cry. And when you kind of step back, you're like, that's a pretty low bar for a dude. He doesn't make you cry, and he holds the door, and you're just this head over heels for him. On No Caller ID, a song she released this year from her new album,
And who could it be? It's 3 a.m. No caller ID.
she's almost presenting a reverse booty call song. It's like the opposite of Need You Now by Lady A, where, oh great, he's calling again at 2 a.m. And she's like, no, I don't want to meet up with you right now and do anything. Don't you get tired of hurting me? I'm tired of hurting me.
I'm tired of hurting me, so I let it ring.
And that's where that confidence comes in that tempers the kind of sadness. She's like, end of the day, I do have enough self-worth that I don't like feeling this way, even though I feel like Megan a little bit likes feeling this way. And I almost think the right word to describe Megan's writing style is wry. Because although there is this sort of sad undertone to a lot of it, she's also really funny. She's a humorous writer.
Go back to how I used to care about where you went, where you've been, who you're with.
And she presents things in a conversational style. Hair Salon's a great example of that, where the first lines of the song kind of make you chuckle.
Called a Bernadette, she had at 10 a.m. Thank God she had the time to squeeze me in. My blonde was getting brassy, my roots were coming in.
And then the song evolves into this place where she overhears some hair salon gossip about how her ex is now engaged to another girl and she's crying in a hair salon. That song's got sadness, it's got humor, and it's got a real femininity that I don't think you can ignore either in Megan's music. The platinum hair and the poofy dresses, she's like this heightened version of girlhood in a way that girls find relatable and guys actually are willing to listen to, which a lot of bros are like, I just can't listen to women in country, except for Megan Moroney. And I think that relatability translates also into the actual music. Megan writes really tight, clean songs. She's got kind of her stable of songwriters, whether that's Ben Williams or Micah and Mackenzie Carpenter. And they're really good at synthesizing maybe anxious, rambly thoughts into really clean, tight, strong songs. 8 bars of a verse, 8 bars of a chorus, keep it moving.
Last night I saw your girlfriend at the bar, in a car, in the parking lot, in some guy's arm.
The same way that I feel like a lot of independent upcoming guys are maybe infected with a bit of Zach Bryan copycat syndrome. Sometimes I hear a lot of the upcoming girls being so Phoebe Bridgers or Lizzie McAlpine-ish, and I know people have heard this term journal pop before, which is this hyper detailed, really emotional to the artist lyrics of, you know, I stepped in strawberry bubble gum and it reminded me of the time that you were chewing gum when we were watching 13 Reasons Why, and that made me think about when your cat climbed on top of my car, and like, you know, that's all well and good. That's evocative and fun, but it's not really a song. And I feel like Megan does a great job of balancing those sorts of little details with the real form of a song in a clean way. In a lot of ways, I think Megan looks and behaves a lot like a pop star right out of the gate. Aesthetically, her look is so dialed. I know people make so much fun of girls getting all dolled up and putting on white boots to go to a country concert, and Megan just kind of embraces that aesthetic. But even within her albums and in her photography, the looks are dialed. Lucky, everything was green. The cover was green. The backdrop curtain was green. The eyeshadow was sparkly green. On Am I Okay, it's all blue. Megan's feeling blue, and her outfits are blue, and all the various single covers leading up to the album are blue. When she does a New York Times shoot, guess what she's wearing? Blue. She is smartly creating eras, much like a certain pop star we all know and some people love, which I think invites her fans to pay attention and engage with what she's doing differently and get them excited maybe when she launches into a new era. But when I say she behaves like a pop star, what I mean is not just, oh, she looks glamorous, but that she kind of inherently understands gossip and coolness and drama and intrigue and, you know, hiding her boy's face if she has some paramour. And I think she also understands the trope of being a glamorous superstar that maybe doesn't have it all together behind the scenes, and how audiences love that and eat that up. It's like she's the country embodiment of the song Lucky by Britney Spears. And I mean, choose any pop star you want. There's some shot of them brushing their hair in a mirror being like, everyone thinks I'm so great, but I'm not actually all that happy. And I find it fascinating how it's almost like when big female stars get sad, the audience loves them way more. Like Ariana Grande, Selena Gomez, whoever. People love that, which I think is like low-key kind of toxic. I'm just saying I've observed that. Megan understands that it's cooler to be an emo cowgirl than just a cowgirl. And she's done a great job of fostering that brand. You can even see it on her new record. There's a song near the end called Hell of a Show.
You could say I put on a hell of a show.
And it's about how even when she's feeling down from a breakup, like she has to put on her makeup and go out there and give the crowd a hell of a show because they came to see her. It's very similar to that song, I Can Do It With a Broken Heart by Taylor Swift.
'Cause I can do it with a broken heart.
The difference is, Taylor literally is one of the biggest stars in the entire world. Megan's still on her come up, but that's what I mean when I say she has an instinctual understanding of how to behave like a superstar, which I think is part of why her career is going so quickly. And everything I've talked about is synthesized on Megan's new album, Am I Okay?
Mama, you ain't a good guy.
Which I'd say very successfully avoids the sophomore slump and maintains the same world that Lucky lived in, but with a bit more polish. These songs feel a little bit more radio ready than maybe the kind of super acoustic stripped back stuff of that album. And I think it really definitely melds some of that pop influence I was discussing with a fair amount of country. You're gonna hear the banjo, you're gonna hear the steel, and it's not always just atmospheric texture. It's like a part of the song. There's not a song on here that I think is bad. I think pretty much every single song works. We've already talked about Megan and her Hurt stage on No Caller ID, which is a gorgeous song.
I shouldn't want to, but I do. You know me too well.
I honestly think that song is so gorgeous that they should have just dropped I'm Not Pretty from the radio and pushed this as the single from the beginning. But the flip side of that emotion is the title track, Am I Okay?, where Megan is so in the throes of early love, where she's like,
Oh my God, am I okay?
dreaming of all the great qualities in this guy. But in general, Megan's not that in love on this record. She's pining, she's yearning, but she's not necessarily winning in her romantic battles. On Noah,
Oh, did you know that I think of you and me?
which kind of reminds me of Betty in some ways by Taylor Swift. Sorry for all the Taylor comparisons. They're just really apt in this video. Even more than usual. She's kind of asking rhetorically if Noah realizes how much she thinks of him. On Miss Universe, she describes a guy that she lost, but he ended up marrying a pageant queen, and she's like, well, if I had to lose him, at least I lost him to Miss Universe. That makes me feel a little bit better about myself.
At least my whole world left me for Miss Universe.
There's a really funny line in that about how it's like, hey, I would have left you for Brad Pitt, so I get it. In Hope You're Happy, she's trying to have a positive spin on a breakup where she's saying like, I hope you get what you want, and I hope you're happy, and I hope I never know.
I hope you finally make your way to California.
Which reminds me a lot of Maggie Antone's I Don't Want to Hear About It, but you know, that song reminded me of Tennessee Orange, so now we're in like an interesting vortex of references. And on Mama I Lied, she's sort of reflecting on how, yeah, she's told some little lies to her parents of like, oh, that bottle isn't mine and stuff growing up, but really she made a much bigger lie to her mom when she said, no, this guy's a good guy, and she's like, he's not a good guy.
Guess I wasn't ready yet to hear the hard truth. So mama,
She has seen the dark side and been like, I should have listened to my mom. We also get some glimmers on this album of where Megan might want to go sonically on Indifferent,
now I don't even know what I'm missing. Don't care what
which is a full-on kind of Olivia Rodrigo moment. You get kind of big power chord guitars, you get way more production, and it's sort of a sonic outlier within the album. It doesn't have nothing to do with country, but it's pretty much a pop song. And who knows how big Megan's musical ambitions are, but I think it's smart if she does want to kind of continue blossoming into other genres to just sort of seed it a little bit at first. It's still early days. And I'm not saying she necessarily wants to. There are some country people where you're like, this person clearly wants to go be a pop star in a few years. I get the sense Megan's very happy to be kind of known as an SEC sorority girl. She likes the South. She likes Morgan Wallen fans. But I also think she probably wants the world. Man on the Moon is super country. 28th of June is super sad.
28th of June, calling out of work, waking up alone, sleeping.
All in all, I think it's a really, really good album. And for me, it hits this like nice sweet spot of pop country where it's not so pop that it's annoying. It's also not just throwing a bone to country music. It just kind of is nice. And I feel like it's just so Megan. It's glitzy, it's sad, it's cool, it's funny. Something about this music just works, and something about Megan Moroney clearly works, and I'm glad to have talked about her here on the channel, and look forward to seeing what she does next. So let me know your thoughts on Megan Moroney, if you're a fan, if you like the kind of raspy voice delivery, whatever it is that you feel you want to say. You can do so in the comments below. If you're new here, I talk about country music on this channel, and I'd love if you subscribed, or shared the video, or did something. I'm supposed to put these at the front, but I always forget to, and I hate the self-promo, and blah, 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 blah. Am I okay?